about the fact that I've been programming on the job in Python for like 13 years is probably not very relevant here because this talk is totally off topic, but thanks to you who voted for it, I'm here doing it. I tried to snatch a couple of references inside it, but it's totally pretentious, so don't even bother following them. Okay, so let's start. And finish right away. Here's the talk. You go to your desk, get this book, and that's it. It just says everything I could say much better, and I just gave you back half of your life, half an hour of your life. So half of your life, too much. And okay, questions? Just joking, obviously. Okay, let's start. Actually, so health. What is health? Health is that thing that you don't notice until you don't have it anymore, basically. So we usually don't care much about it, don't take it into account, but I think we all know some people who have health problems, and hopefully not ourselves. And that's something that, since we live in a very specialized society, we usually demand the care of our health to someone else, to professionals, because we are professionals and we know there are other professionals that are supposed to care about it. And that thing, that kind of approach often works well, but sometimes it doesn't, because there is a kind of a cultural, socio-economic approach that makes it work better as a cure for cures rather than for preventions. Other cultures are different in that regard. But in our case, we are probably better off if we continue obviously to rely on technicians, specialists for cures, but also take care and charge of our own health with preventative measures. And another reasons why there's not so much emphasis on prevention is that our own knowledge of biological systems in the human body is quite imperfect. We know a lot that we didn't used to know, but we, by all means, we don't know everything. We have partial knowledge, and we use approximate models to try and deal with health problems, illness, and the kind of thing. So. There are a number of approaches that we could take. The one you obviously already know is an approach where we see the body as some kind of system where stuff goes in and stuff goes out, and we try to keep it into some kind of balance. And it's useful to try and focus our attention on what actually goes inside our body. And it obviously includes food, but it also includes air, pollutants from the environment, and energy, because obviously we need matter, but we also need energy to survive. And the weird thing is that a good part of that energy comes inside our body as food, in a food form, and also as heat. And the energy, we get to spend it with metabolism, with physical activity, and then we have to rest because we need periods of to be able to restore ourselves. So we try to keep this balance, keep track of this budget between what goes in and what goes out, both as far as food goes. And food is used as both as energy and for the continuous renewal of our body, which I think the estimate is that basically every 3 months, every single cell and every single atom of our body is different. It's the same shape, but the atoms that makes it have changed. And also obviously as energy for metabolism and activity. And so what happens when this budget of input and output gets is out of shape? Two things can happen. One is that it doesn't happen in our society, but unfortunately it very much still happens in less lucky places. That is that we get to spend more than we manage to put in. So what happens is that basically the body sacrifices parts of some of its part for the sake of the rest. And that's where you get those terrible photos of children in Africa and the kind of thing. The problem that we are probably more familiar with is the other case where we manage to put more matter and energy in than we actually need or manage to consume. And then we have this nice mechanism where the body stores the excess as fat to be able to have a reserve for periods of scarcity or not enough food, which often doesn't happen, so the fat just stays there, which is kind of unfortunate sometimes. And so what definition do you use for being fit? Yeah, that's basically two things. It's proved nowadays. There are quite an amount of scientific literature that it's actually important to limit the amount of excess fat that we carry around with us, because that increases likelihood of getting different kind of illnesses and things. So that's also a known thing. And the other thing that's also pretty much known is that it's not enough to be kind of slim and not too much fat, but we also need regular physical activity. And that's just how we're built. We evolved just having to use all those muscles the whole day long. And nowadays we just don't do it that much. And that's kind of a problem, because that also can increase risk of diseases. So, as an example, what I do, or rather what I don't do. This is just totally out of personal preference. I put this here just as a data point, as an example. So obviously everyone have to find their own what they like more and everything. But there are some kinds that I don't do, because for instance, I don't go to the gym because I just don't like this kind of mass thing where you do what everyone else does, or maybe there's this loud music, or there's some kind of instructor. I don't know. I think we all know that feeling where we want to do our own thing and decide for ourselves, I guess. There's some of it. And obviously I'm lazy. I hope I'm a good enough programmer, so obviously I'm lazy, because you cannot be a good programmer without being lazy. So I just don't want to go to the gym and spend money and everything. I try to find more efficient ways. That's also that's obviously a social aspect, and not dealing very well with people. And I guess some of you are also somewhat familiar with that, but let's leave it aside for a moment. And also don't run. Mainly because I don't like the impact thing. I don't like the feeling of my feet hitting the ground. So I try to find other sports that are less stressful of my joints and kind of thing. And also the third thing is not a plus point, it's a minus point. I don't go much outdoors. And I should do, because there's beneficial aspects on sun rays, apart from all the hoopla that's around about skin cancer, stuff like that. There's a moderate amount, like anything else. Sun rays are very good for our body. And also the whole nature thing and everything. Obviously, if you live in a polluted city, I'm not very much pleased when I see people running around in polluted cities and streets and stuff like that. I'm not sure that's a totally great idea. But if you manage to go into some nice park or some nice wood or forest, whatever, that's obviously a good idea. But again, that goes kind of against the laziness thing. So, as usual, there needs to be some balance around. So, okay, so what do I actually do? I got this nice machine which is called an elliptical trainer, which is nice because you get to exercise both your legs and your arms, and there's no impact.
I hate those.
Sorry? You had those?
I hate those.
Oh, that's interesting. Why?
They just feel wrong to me. I would rather run.
Okay, that's perfect. I mean, yeah, as I said, no one has to do the same things. It would defeat the purpose entirely. So yeah, that's just what I do. Again, I also like swimming, just because I grew up on the seaside and I learned to like it. And it's a very nice way again to exercise your whole body without much stress, and you get to calibrate how much effort you want to spend. And another nice thing that I found out is this program here. In this talk I mention brands and models and everything. I don't care. I see what I need to say. I don't get any kickback or anything, so I just take it as advancements if you like, but I just don't care. And so there's this thing which is quite nice, because it's very gradual, very introductive, and there is this kind of game. It's actually an instruction program with this balance board thing where you get on it and it measures your balance. So it gives you feedback. Obviously, it's not as good as having a personal instructor, but that's kind of not cheap, so to speak. And that's maybe a good enough approximation. And there are different kind of exercises. There's a yoga stretching kind of thing. There's more hard muscle building things, but again, it's very, very introduction progressive. I did all of it by now. I don't need the console anymore. I have a file text on my smartphone, and it's as the name of the exercises. So in the morning, my hotel room, I just get there and read the name. Oh, that one, okay, and just go down on the carpet and just do it without console or anything because I have them by rote by now. So again, this is all just data point, personal preferences, but. There's one thing, the laziness efficiency thing. Why in this hectic life where I already need to spend all this time doing things that don't have enough time to do everything, why do I have to put even more hours? Yeah, obviously it's for a good end, it's for my health. But wouldn't it be good if I could just do some physical activity while I work, where I spend most of my hours? So obviously there are people who thought about that already, and that's the number of things. I tried a number of approaches, and a couple of things that I ended up with are that nice kind of chairs, which is a cross of a Swedish chair where you rest a bit, put pressure on your knees, but at the same time it's a rocking chair. So you don't stay stuck all the time, and after a while your knees starting to ache. You move all the time, and also your back gets exercise, your muscles. And I found it very nice. I've been using it for years now, and it's a very nice thing. But again, it's just a way of shifting your posture, but doesn't get you much physical activity. And recently I found out that in my firm there are quite a number of people who actually work standing up all the time. And that's why I'm doing that too. There are even some people get all this kind of motorized tables, not cheap again, and then they get a tapis roulant that goes under them. So they're there with their headphones and they're turning on the computer and working all the time, the whole day. And someone, yeah, even saw them. And so they're real. And but again, that's kind of expensive. So what I did, I took 2 cardboard boxes, put on the table, and put the computer on side of them. It's not very stable, but it's stable enough. Yeah, you just need to, take care of it. And the other thing that I did, I found this nice German thing on Amazon, which costs like 80 euros, which is a stepper, but it's not the usual stepper, it's a side stepper. So you don't need, you don't move back and forward and back all the time. You just use your legs. It's also good to keep moving all the time. So it's kind of a compromise game. I'm sure you can find out all sorts of different and interesting things. So that's for the output side, the activity part. Let's move to the input. And this is going to be very high level, obviously. We cannot cover all this. This is very deep subject matter in half an hour. But there are a number of categories which are important to recognize. So we have a number of distinctions that you most likely have already had about macronutrients, where they have different categories, and micronutrients and other kind of things. And we actually need all of those. And there are some of those that our body is not able to synthesize. So we really need them. And we need them every day. And the thing is, in our industrialized life and society, there is kind of an imbalance in our alimentation, our food, because for some reason, I suppose for mainly economic reasons, there's a strong emphasis on carbohydrates. So we eat lots of, and not just carbohydrates, but even refined carbohydrates. So there are foods made mostly of carbohydrates with less fiber, less vitamins, minerals, other things that we need. While there's a lot of kind of we could even say propaganda about fat, about just trying to minimize fat, as if the fat that we eat goes directly into the fat in our body, which is not how it works. So what we need actually is a balance. And also there's another thing, which is most protein sources are kind of expensive. So even there's an economic reason why we often maybe get not as much proteins as we would need. Even more if we do physical activity and and muscle building, that kind of thing. And there are other things which are very important to metabolism, to all the body processes. And what we also need, and water, everyone tells us about water all the time. You need to drink 2 liters, 3 liters, 4 liters. Easy with that, because there's people who actually died because they drank too much. I'm not making this up. So yeah, we need some water. And we need fiber, and we are not nearly enough fiber in our diet. And we need antioxidants. There's this process inside our body which is called oxidation, which kinds of is involved in the aging of our body and the degeneration on some cells and organs. So it's very useful if we, in what we eat, we get some antioxidants, and we'll see some of them too. So again, examples. The laziness thing. I never learned to cook. I never liked to cook, so I don't cook. I just turned off the gas in my house. I don't use it. The only things I heat up are the water for the tea in the microwave, and I have some things, an electric thing which makes hard-boiled eggs. Those are the only 2 things that I heat up. Everything else comes either from the pantry or from the fridge, basically directly. So I find that kind of a raw diet is very useful, because on one hand I don't need to cook, and on the other hand, some foods you need to cook them if you want to eat them. But most food, I feel that what cooking actually does is destroy many nutritive things and nutritive properties that are in the food. Again, this is a totally personal thing, and I'm totally sure that most of you don't agree with me in the least. But it works for me, as they say, And the other thing that I did is that I very much reduced my intake of refined starches and sugars. Like, in Italy we have this myth of the Mediterranean diet, which is not what we think it is. Mediterranean diet originally was a diet based on the fish, legume, and fresh vegetables and fruit, mostly that. Nowadays, Mediterranean diet is pasta, pane, pizza, patate, all that is refined starches. There's lots of starch, lots of sugar in that, and very little of anything else. And this is not very healthy. So I just don't eat them. I did some of them because I'm, how do you say goloso in English? I don't remember. I'm just very addicted to sugars, that kind of thing. So I can't really do without some sweets. But really, those big pasta plates, no, they're a no-go. Again, I'm sure many of you don't agree with this. Your problem, not mine. Totally. And the magic powder thing is just a compilation that I did, which goes into the antioxidants category we saw before. There are a number of Western and Eastern spezie, that again, I don't know how you said, spices, yeah, like one. And turmeric is like the basis for curry. They use very much in India, and cumin, ginger, and all kinds of things. All of these things, except for the flaxseed, that's in there actually for the omega-3 trans fatty acid, which is another useful thing. So anyway, this is kind of very spicy mix that after a while you can even learn to stand if you wish. I did, but yeah.
You might want to add cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yeah.
It helps with blood sugar.
Yeah. I'm sure there could be much more things I could put in there. I'll probably try that one. Thanks. And yeah, again, very briefly, there are a number of approaches, but again, there are some things that are better left alone. And meat is one of them, at least for them. I'm not totally vegetarian because I still eat fish. I cannot really renounce fish right now. Maybe I will in the future, I don't know. But as far as meat goes, I don't really miss it. And there are a number of reasons why I don't eat meat anymore. Obviously, there is the animal empathy side, which is important, and there's also a big socio-economic problem with the whole industrial comfort of meat producing. But from the health point of view, there is a big imbalance in this trans fatty acids, which are called there's this omega-3 versus omega-6. What happens is that animals fed on grass get lots of omega-3, but nowadays animals get fed with grains and other things where they have lots of omega-6 instead. So that kind of upsets the balance in our own body, because basically we are what we eat, and we eat lots of those. And this seems to be, there's also scientific literature on that which says that if those two are not balanced, we also increase likelihood of getting some kind of illnesses. So that's also a thing that we need to care for. And fortunately, there are other foods that have quite a bit of omega-3, like some fish and nuts too. But nuts are also very, very fat, so we need to care about them. And there are other reasons also. They are actually forbidden, but still there is some meat around where they put antibiotics in there to avoid the illness in animals, and hormones to make them grow faster and the kind of thing. And if you're unlucky enough, you might get some of that even today. So, from a precautionary point of view, I nowadays just tend to avoid it. Not completely, sometimes I eat it, but not daily, definitely not daily. I still eat fish, and yes, not all of them. Some fish are a good omega-3 source, and also there's a pollution problem there, and it's best eating small kind of fish, just because they are lower in the whole eating chain. How do you call that? Food chain. So they have less time to accumulate mercury and other pollutants in their body. So I used to like tuna very much, but that's kind of big fish. So I tend to use smaller ones nowadays to eat them. Oh, I also eat eggs with some moderation, because there's some fat problem, cholesterol, the kind of thing. Average like one a day is not too much, as I know. So I try to not go over that. And also about dairy, I do eat dairy products. I used to eat yogurt for quite a while. Then I discovered this nice thing, which is called kefir, which is actually the yogurt of the Caucasian populations, where there are lots of very people that live very long, and apparently some of it is based on their diet, and in their diet there is this kefir thing. So I don't know. I hope I will be able to tell you like in 70 years or something if it works or not. We'll see. But I eat, and one nice thing is that yogurt is this processing of milk, which is done with like 3 different bacteria species, while on the other hand, kefir has 30 different bacteria species, so it's kind of stronger. And it's also a little more acid, it's a little fizzy, different taste, but I have no problem with new tastes. I get basically to eat whatever I like. And the legume is also a good protein sources, but the weird thing with legume is that all of them more or less have the same protein content, but as you go from left to right, their carbohydrate content increases. So you have peas, which are actually quite balanced, and then you have at the other end the chickpeas, which are very caloric. So nowadays I tend to eat peas, sometimes beans, and that's it. These are the two. I don't. But again, personal thing, blah, blah. And then there are other foods which are also nice, like tofu, which is derived from soya, kind of looks like cheese. They make different foods, but then they try to make them look like food that people already know, for some reason. I don't know. And seitan instead is done with grains, and it has a very nice protein content. Nuts are also important because they again have omega-3. Some of them, like almonds, have good quantity of magnesium, which is also important. And chocolate, obviously dark chocolate, very concentrated kind of thing, is also good because it contains, it's almost like coffee, not really, but I don't drink coffee, by the way. Again, blah, blah. Your mileage may vary. Tracking the food you eat. This is basically because my sense of fullness is more or less broken, so I cannot just trust myself to stop. So what I do, there are lots of online services, the kind of thing where you can track what you eat. I just did my own thing again and made a spreadsheet, and it's kind of a crazy thing, I know, kind of obsession in a way, but what I do is I weigh everything that I eat before eating it on an electronic scale, and I put it into the spreadsheet, and sorry, it's not very readable, but it's not really important. The important thing is that there are the column for calories, but also columns for proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So at any point in the day, I know how much I ate of every of those constituents. So I can eat something rather than something else to restore my daily balance or something. It's kind of, yeah, again, obsessive, but it's one way it can be done. And there are two other sheets in that file. The second one is just a list that I made where I put all the constituents of foods, taking some from the labels of the packages and some from the official tables that you can find online, that kind of thing. And they are referenced by the first page, which is the daily diary. And then there is a third sheet where I just put my own body weight. So I weigh myself every few days and just put the number there. And oh yeah, the Python mention is targeted Gnumeric, and you could use it. You could use Python for scripting it. I didn't use Python for scripting for that, so it's pretentious, I know. Anyway, it looks like it works. So like 1 year and a half ago, I weighed 88 kilograms. So I started changing my diet, and the first month I actually lost 7 kilos, which is kind of too much. Usually you don't want to lose more than 3 or 4 kilograms a month. But the first phase is understandable because you also lose water, so it's kind of a startup phase. And after that, the curve kind of was less steep. Yeah, and what I did to do that was, usually they say that for males you need to get like 2,000 calories a day if you don't do much activity. What I did up there was that I started with 1,200, which is kind of starving. Yeah, and that's why it's so steep, basically. So after a while I couldn't stand it anymore, so I increased it to like 1,500, and then 6, and then 7, like that. As you can see, there are periods there and there and there where it didn't work very well. So that was basically when I was traveling, because when you travel, it's really too much effort to do this whole kind of keeping track of things, you know. And so these two ones are 1 week sprints in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. And yeah, it's almost like Italy, or even more, I don't know. You go there and then they just throw food at you, basically, you know, so it's just hard to resist. But and then I had to work again to go back to a. But what's interesting is not much that, but the fact that once I hit kind of bottom around 70, after a while I started regaining it a bit, because what's hard is not losing weight, it's keeping it down. And when I was here, at this point, I was around 1,800, 900 a day, which is still lower than I was supposed to eat. But I still gained weight again. And here, this is maybe a too small range, too small period to be a significant sample. But still, what I did was I put it down again to 1,600. And that looks like what I need to be stable. So obviously the official figures are always averages. Again, everyone has to find their own thing, their own level, you know. Okay, that's it about food. We need to speed up a bit. There are other things that you need. It's not just physical activity. It's not just good food. You need to sleep. You really need to sleep. You need to get rest. You need to get those probably on average again 7-8 hours a night ideally of sleep. And there are some things which are called the circadian rhythms, which are things that our body evolved in accordance to the day-night cycle, that it's best if we go in agreement with that. So this kind of thing really, again, goes against the grain of the lone programmer working late into the night and then sleeping until noon the next day. I know, it's not hard. I always have been kind of a morning person, so I don't find much difficulty into doing that, but again, I can see it might be kind of difficult. But still, might be worth a try. And the other thing that we mentioned is that you need to take care not just of food, but also what else goes into your body as far as air goes. and even things that you put yourself in. So everyone knows that smoking is not very good for our health. What's interesting is that actually looks like there is a kind of more or less proportional correlation between how much you smoke, if you do, and the increase of likeliness of getting illnesses, lung tumor, the kind of thing. So if you can manage to, well, not smoking at all is probably best, but if you can manage to keep yourself down to like 2-3 cigarettes a day, it's probably much better than smoking 20 or something. Obviously, you don't just need to take care of what you voluntarily put into your body, but also what you involuntarily put it. So if you live in a polluted place, that's also not very good for health. To different degrees, obviously, it depends on where you live, how much polluted it is, and so on. But anyway, I'm a country guy anyway. I don't like cities, and I always basically live in the country, and I like it. So that's easy for me. Again, everyone is different. And there are other substances we put in or on our body, so also cosmetics, the kind of thing, can also have adverse effects, because there are some things that are kind of contentious, it's not really clear, but there are some aluminum-based things that is not totally sure, but may not be very good for your health. So there are a number of things. You can get some literature or things, but the main thing is that you don't just get everything that you can see and put it on yourselves. You just need a little care there too. And we're almost finished. There's this concept which is very nice. There's this Greek word which is hormesis. And it basically means control the stress. And that's a concept where we can put a number of activities that our body reacts favorably to. And because apparently our body has evolved to be able to endure a small amount of stress for a short time, and it kind of reactivates some kind of resources and things that are inside our own body, and sometimes are a little dormant. And all these things go more or less under that category. Yeah, even fasting for small periods can also be useful to kind of clean up, purify your body. Some alcohol, again, we know that some of it is good, not much of it. Now I won't go into quantities because, you know, but you can find, and even vaccines are that kind of thing in a way. Okay, I want to quickly go back to this book, and again, I get no kickback except that this one copy was given to me. That's good enough for me. But this book is really nice. It got out 3 months ago, after I proposed this talk, after you voted it, or some of you voted it, for this conference. And it's kind of an overview. It's not very deep, but it's very comprehensive. There are some things in it and that I have no idea of. And also covers lots of gadgets and online services and the kind of thing, and probably stuff that in 2 years half of them will not be there anymore or something, I don't know. But still, it's good to know that there's lots of things out there that can be used. So I really encourage you to try and get this, and you may not even have to pay for it, because on Thursday afternoon, in addition to the other draws, there is a draw for O'Reilly stuff specifically, which include this book and other books of your choices, and a Fitbit Ultra, which is a fitness gadget, and there's going to be a draw. But there's a catch. That draw is not going to be extended to all EuroPython participants. It's only going to be extended to those of you who will take care right now to take a business card, a piece of paper, whatever you like, with your name on it, write it on it, and then you need to write this code down, and you need to go again to Josette at the desk and give her this piece of paper with your name and that code. And obviously, is this being streamed? Okay, whatever. I know not all of you are going to do this, and definitely not all of the EuroPython participants are not going to do this, so the chance of getting these prizes is already higher than it wouldn't without this thing. But yeah, whatever. As much as you do it after Thursday afternoon, I'm fine. Thanks. And okay, did everyone note it down? It's not a very difficult code to guess, I know, but it wasn't the point. It's not just a very secret thing. It's just something to, increase the the reward for those who care enough. To tell you a secret, actually Josette wanted to do a competition and give out the books to the most fit people. She wanted to put people down there and do push-ups and that kind of thing. And to say, okay, I know you are from USA, but that's kind of too much, you know. Sorry. Oh, no, right, she isn't. But it looked like a very competitive frame of mind. Yeah, that's just my prejudice showing, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, you're right, she isn't. But yeah. Anyway, that's it. Whoever wrote down the code, and the time is up. Oh, and there's this other book. So this book is partly why I'm here today, because I was looking about not just losing weight, but also the whole health implications. And I found this book of this guy. This is a very special book. This is a very scientific book with like 20 pages of scientific references at the end of it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to follow because it's very detailed in biochemical processes and kind of thing. But at the same time, it's a very, very personal book where this guy tells the struggle of his own struggle with cancer. And this guy died exactly 1 year ago. And now you're thinking, what? You're telling us to read a book against cancer written by a guy who died of cancer. Yes, I am. Because this guy had cancer 20 years ago, discovered he had cancer. He's a neurologist, a scientific guy, went under radiation, chemotherapy, everything. And for a few years, everything went well. Then the tumor went back. It was a brain tumor. It's not an easy one. And then he started thinking, well, okay, I've done the cure. Maybe I can do something more to fight this. I may do something, not prevention anymore because it's late, but at least I can. And so he searched around and wrote this book, and I find it a very nice book. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't enough because it was too late, basically. But for many of us, it's probably not too late, so I think this is a very interesting one if you're interested in the subject. And it's not just him. There's another guy who died of cancer, even with all his money and everything. And what he said in the famous Stanford speech, he said this sentence, which is "Stay hungry, stay foolish," which is very interesting and nice sentence. But from our point of view today here, he left out an important part, which another guy, quite a few years before, got right. First of doing those things, you need to stay alive. So my encouragement to you is to try and stay alive and take care of yourself. And that's about it. The only thing I want to add is that this presentation is, again, Python mentions, and this presentation is done with this file and Docutis. If you go with the mouse down here, we get this nice menu. We'll click on the 0, and this turns into a kind of web page where you have more notes, more stuff in it. This is not online yet, but you'll get this with all kinds of comments which kind of recapitulate what I've been saying today, and links and references and everything, and all those kind of things. Yeah. So that's it. Now, for real.
There is time for just one question.
Oh.
With the last one.
Sorry. Anyone? There you go. I don't know. Oh, do you have? Can we try? Yes? Oh.
No, it's okay.
Oh.
I just want to...
No.
Oh, I'll repeat. I can. Okay.
Hello. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm very impressed by your effort in staying healthy.
Thanks.
And I wonder how you stay motivated to do all the things you do. And because it seems like a lot to do.
Yeah.
More than an average guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I realize it can take quite a bit of effort. I'm sure many of us do not stay away from effort. We are quite capable of getting into some subject if we are motivated enough. And I probably must admit that the whole motivation for me is basically fear, I guess. And yeah, and sometimes that can be a good thing to feel, you know. And that seems to be enough. It's also quite interesting. I mean, we look around ourselves and see how most of things around us work. And it's also quite nice to be able to know something about how myself works. And, you know, it just feels good, I guess. again, everyone will have their own motivation, their own level of involvement, and the kind of thing. There's no one-size solution for everyone.
Okay, so
I guess that's it. Thanks.